Alright, so my name is Prince Mova and I'm here with my colleague from Proof FM. We've come to speak with Captain Jerry Kollie, a candidate in the upcoming elections in Bong Electoral District number 2, and also a very powerful fiery statesman in Liberia. He's known, he's not a stranger to Liberia's border politics. Captain Kollie, welcome to this interview. How you doing?
Thank you very much. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to Liberia people and the people of District Number 2, Bong County.
Alright, and as per the mandate of the release from the National Elections Commission, the campaign for the elections that will be held on October 10 this year, the activities have officially begun today. Campaign is open and politicians are free to go about to engage the supporters, to engage Liberians across the country. I mean, how do you make of the entire process from the beginning of the campaign day, where we are today, and what's our own message across the country?
Well, thank you, and I just appreciate you guys for coming. Fear has grabbed me. I'm afraid, having looked at the political landscape of our country, not because I'm contesting and the fundamental rebel agreement be signed by political leader, but fear had grabbed me in a sense where if we cannot have international security forces on the ground, it will be somehow dangerous for Liberia. And from all kinds of the oppositions and the ruling establishment, that there will be a violent. The ruling establishment are saying, their supporters are saying, hey, we don't care what happened, we need the elections. The opposition are saying, hey, we cannot accept the election to be rigged. And if the anger of the people come up, this play will be terrible than Rwanda. To avoid it, as a security personnel and professional one in Africa or Liberia, I call on your United Nations representative in Liberia to ask UN to send at least 2 battalions in the country for the 2 months or few days we need for elections. I also ask ECOWAS representative in Liberia to do similar thing, to send 2 battalions. If we get 4 battalions in this country are foreign true, where equate, it will put fear into those who are planning and violent against these elections. This is serious. Every time I say something in Liberia, Liberians don't take it serious, but at the end of the day, they found themselves into it. Before President Salih left the country, as a president, I told President Salih and the Liberian people that President Salih was leaving Liberia over time bomb. I said when the bomb blasts, you will not hear the sound, but the particle will touch and you will see the mark.
And what are some of the particles?
And you see body all in the street, and the perpetrator is not being brought to book. Because the man of form that Madam Ellen Jones Salih handled the security aspect of our country. The security sectors were destroyed, were damaged, and were not repaired prior to her leaving. And the state provides security, the inhabitants of that state, the people live in fear. And right now, Liberians are living in fear, self-security, and beyond this current government control, which President Weah has said every Liberian should be able to buy CCTV to provide security for themselves. So if you are in the street, you got people there in the street with pliers, you got people with scissors, you got people with screwdriver. Overnight, they hijack and kill people. The perpetrator is not being brought to book.
Captain Kollie, this statement might instill fears in other Liberians. You come from the security background, talking about fear has grabbed you. You are afraid that the election might be rigged by the ruling establishment, that you hear in the corridor of the ruling establishment. And then on the other hand, those from the opposition that you are saying that we cannot allow this election to be rigged for any other reason. I mean, this might just instill fear in the Liberians that the economy is not safe ahead of the election.
No, let me be very clear. Everybody know. Everybody should be afraid. This is why we're paying taxes to the United Nations for security. This is why we're paying taxes to ECWA. This is why we're paying our due. And so they need to give us security at the head of this election.
You have your own security. Since it's a government-led power, the we are government took over, we have our own security. We have elections across the country. The 2020 election, the Liberian security took charge of that. We have other by-elections. The security apparatus in Liberia took charge of that. You have your own security. We have seen recruits of the police in the street. I'm sure they were being recruited just ahead of the elections. What other fear you have? What other security fear you have?
Let me say something to you. The entire security system in Liberia is fragile. The people have a fragile peace. We don't have the manpower to contain any violence, any anger from the people. We don't. And besides, the election of 2020 different from the election of this 2023. The elections of 2021, by elections in other places, different from this particular one. This one is a critical one that the president needed by us. That's a real establishment. And the oppositions are saying, no, our economies have been gambled. Our resources have been damaged. We need to change the government and change the system to bring in modern systems. As you may be aware, or you may not be aware, let me inform you. Based on research work, Liberia does not have any foreign policy. And because of that, in the 21st century, you will not have an investment coming in your country compared to other countries around the world. Why? Because your policies is an ancient day policy. Your foreign policy was written by Eric Bong in 1944. And that period was ending in 1973. In 1971, Tubman died. When Tubman died, Tubman took that foreign policy and went away up to 1980 prior to the assassination by the then military leaders. Those military leaders, because they were not educated to politics or politically, they have to use that same foreign policy. And that policy was in the same 19th century. Say we are entered the 21st century, and Madam Ellen Jones at the time, who told us she graduated from Harvard University, did not do research to see whether she could transform that foreign policy or do an amendment in our foreign policy to suit our operations in the 21st century. But then use the continual 1944 foreign policy. Because of that, we don't have an economic growth, a modern agricultural system, a modern security system. All that would still use is the 19th century. So now I want to drag the attention that we need to have a foreign policy. This government came to be with all the educated men around. They not do research. They got foreign minister but no foreign policy. Compared to present reality, the war is running 90 miles per second positively. Liberia is running 90 miles per second negatively. We're still using Asian Day AK around here. And other countries are using...
Why you can't forget about gun business?
No, let me tell you something. You said government, gun, and God. Right? Or God, government, and gun. If you don't have a gun in the country, you are vulnerable country. In America, everybody carry arms and use it wisely. America got more than 500,000 security personnel.
Okay, so Captain, this call, is it before the election or after the election? If after the election, do you see chaos from your dreams after the election, especially maybe where the result will go against the current government? Is this why your call comes from?
I think so, because this government is desperately need these elections. As you can see, we are not going anywhere. There have been small violence in all corners. Am I lying? You are journalists. There have been small violence in all corners around here. You saw some in district number 10. To be specific. Hey, we're moving to Yagai. Wait, moving to Yagai. Yagai say, hey, my men are coming. So what do we stand? When it turns the other way, that the ruling establishment, be defeated at the fourth round, and they said no, we're not decided for, we'll be cheated. You know what happened in this country? The country will turn upside down, and it will be chaotic more than Rwanda.
Sorry, before my colleague comes in, ECOWAS has its own standard, of sending troops or sending their manpower in countries, in members' country, likewise the UN. What happens if what you calling for today does not happen and we go to the elections? What do you foresee?
Situation dictates militarily. ECOWAS leaders, UN leaders should know that we don't have to be a conflict. Liberian died like 1990 before they can come in. The situations that we face in Liberia, if we're going to be handled by the United Nations or ECOWAS, because we are signatory to the United Nations establishment, if we are being handled in local tour and have not to go to the war. But we have gone into war so long. We went to war so long before they say United Nations. And United Nations here, United Nations violated the rule of engagement. Members of the United Nations violated the rule of engagement militarily on Benson Street. United Nations did not do her responsibility as a true in Liberia. United Nations have failed. Because one of the United Nations responsibility is to make sure a member country that will be in conflict should participate by bringing peace and settling every sector on a good atmosphere.
Okay, finally, just a question from my end. This is my final question. You're contesting District 2, Bong County, am I correct?
Sure.
Thank you. Who you think will be the next representative?
Kollie.
What reason?
I'm winning. I'm not winning to just sit down. We're going to engage the legislature to see to it that a lot of things being put into place. We got to change Liberian system. A Liberian government being changed, or the president changed, and the system remains the same way. We got purported system. We need to change the system. And district number 2 will be proud of electing me. The people are yearning to see me because elections open. My colleagues, my supporters, I say, hey, Mr. Kollie, come down. But we're preparing. We are not rushing because we are self-supporter. But we're supporting somebody for the presidency and supporting Alexander B. Cummings to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. The reason is simple. We want to change the system in Liberia. You're not coming to just change the government, the system remain the same.
So that means you're preaching the same message to where you're contesting?
Of course. I told the people, vote Alexander B. Cummings. Voting, he will change the system. Vote me. I will help you in the process. I will do research. I will tell him, Mr. President, this is the way Liberia need to be. More especially the security aspect. If I'd been elected, I think we can manage to arrange our security sectors so that the country's people will come to invest in the community. No businessmen want to come to invest.
All right, so finally, 2 concerns. You earlier on spoke of the Liberia does not have a
foreign policy.
Liberia does have a foreign policies now.
Yeah.
Because of that, investment is not coming and all the kinds of things. Yeah. I'd like to know from you how a country is being affected when the foreign policy is not working. That's the first one. The second one is you spoken of this issue of security. You fear grabs you ahead of the elections. You need about 4 battalions from ECOWAS and the UN. This might be something the government itself will want to call you and ask you other questions. What have you seen? Because you said you heard in the corridor of the ruling party that they desperately need these elections. This is something that may raise security concern that the states will want to call you for further questioning.
But I will answer. I'm a veteran security personnel. I said veteran because I'm active, but not having the assignment. But I tell you what, an election like this, it's a terrible elections. And Liberia should have a culture. And what would be our culture? Our culture is Liberia sent the instruction to our political foundation 1821 December 15. We have been having one president going twice. Now the culture, we try to change it because of the 21st century, that if we don't do well, we cannot implement the culture. That will make it difficult. Because this government will say, hey, we must implement this culture and traditions. And the citizens are saying, hey, you are not treating us well. So we will violate the tradition and cultures of the country. And so, it's a dangerous one for one to be afraid as to what happened at the end day. Gentlemen of the price, we got to think critically ahead of trouble. I said foreign policy. If you stay operating in the 19th century ideology, then you are lost. Here am I speaking to you. The world is looking at me. The world is looking at me. In other sectors of the country, Liberians are looking at me. Technologies are advancing. That you stay operating in 19th century foreign policy. That Eric Bong, a master degree holder in public administration, a master degree holder in political science, wrote it, and I'm a political scientist. I have a BSc in political science. So I'm a critical thinker. I do competitive analysis. So what you think of, you as a journalist, we cannot come up with a statement. We're waiting for Liberian to be dying again before we can talk. It better we inform the people ahead of time. United Nations responsibility to provide security for our member states. And we desperately need a United Nations presence on the ground. Because we don't have the security to control the people anger. And God bless the state. God bless the people of District Number 2. Good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. His name is Captain Kollie. He is former captain of the AFL and also the politician. He's contesting in Bong District Number 2. He's a candidate on the ballot. Thanks for following us. My name is Prince Moba. This is Focus on Liberia Television. You've been viewed across the world. Do join us another time for another live broadcast. Thanks so much.
I think that will be on Focus.
Yeah. Bye-bye.